Okay, right, this is the colour mixing training video to help you. One thing we're going to start off with straight away and just tell you, we do have the colour mixing guide. As you can see, there are literally thousands and thousands of colours on here, which we have the formulas for. So making colour mixing easier, if you're struggling with colour mixing, that basically is your simple answer. Just ask for the formula and we've answered the problem. But if you want to do things, ask for the current price on those anyway. So if you want to do things on the traditional method, which is how we do things here, we do use these as well. We would do things by mixing colours. So we just got like a variety of colours here that you can sort of see, ranging from a cream, which started off with a white base. We've got like a mint green colour, started off with a white base as well. And then we've got like a sort of, almost like a sort of blood red, almost sort of real deep sort of darkish maroon. And then we've got like a sort of green colour here as well, a darkish green. And then browns, again, we haven't got the brown here, but I'm going to show you that in a moment. So making browns is quite simple. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to show you how to make a brown. So all you need is scarlet and strong black. You may also need yellow oxide and a drop of, let's have a look, orange, which we've got here. Drop of orange. So if we were to put some red into the pot, as you can clearly see, it's very red. Add the black into it, and automatically, once that's stirred up, you're going to see how dark that goes. You're going to see that it's going to start to go to a brown shade already, quite a reddy brown. And as you can see, straight away, we've got, which I'll put on my hand, quite a reddy brown straight away. Now, if you wanted to change the shade of that, I'll leave that there so I'll show you a bit of a demo in a moment. If you want to change the shade of the brown, you could add some yellow oxide in. The yellow oxide is going to help lighten the colour, turn it more milky. As you can see straight away, it's turned more milky colour, and if I put that beside it, you'll see the difference of the two. It's slight, but there is a bit of a difference there between the two. So if we were to now add some orange into that colour, you're going to see how much of a difference it makes with the orange. It's going to turn it more sort of chestnutty, which you're going to see it's vastly different now. So now if we put that bit there, compared to the first bit, you can see it's very, very clearly different. And you can see the three different shades there. Hopefully the camera will pick it up for you so that you can see the three shades. So obviously if you wanted to make it lighter again, more yellow oxide in there, give it a good stir, and you're going to see how it's going to go very, very, very light now. Almost like a sort of weak rusty red, almost like a rusty brown. As you can see now, the difference again. So if we put that next to the one that was the original colour, as you can see, the difference between that and that is quite significant. So that was just with using, with the brown, the four colours. We started off with the red, we added the black into it to get you your brown, and then we've adjusted the colour with the yellow oxide and the orange to get it to that colour where it's at. So now we can look at creams and stuff like that as well. So with a cream, you're going to start off with, that's obviously your brown, which we'll leave there. So with a cream, which is like what we got here, we'll start off with the white. And the whole purpose of this video is just to give you a guide. Obviously, we could literally spend days going through colour mixing. So what we're going to do is just to sort of give you a brief outcome of a few of the colours here. So obviously with that, you would add drop a yellow oxide into it, to the pure white, because we're going to make a cream. Literally a little tiny drop, because we've only got a small quantity of colour here. And then we're going to mix that up. And as you can see, as that's mixed in, we've got like a sort of buttermilk colour. A real nice sort of very light sort of buttermilk colour, as you can see. So I put a drop of that on my hand, just like I did with the browns. So we'll start there. As you can see, it's very light. So if we add more yellow oxide into it, you're going to see it's going to turn into a much richer, darker cream. As you can see, that's gone into a much sort of darker cream. Put that beside it, and you can clearly see the differences there. This is almost sort of like a grey tone, and it's very much a yellow, almost magnolia colour. So if you wanted to change the colour of the green again, umber. Use some umber, which is like a sort of greeny brown colour. A couple of drops of umber in there, and you're going to see the colour now darken significantly again. So as you can see, that's now just changed colour quite significantly. And I put a drop of that on my hand, and you can see again the difference between all three colours. We've got like a bit of a slight green tone to it. So what we're going to do with the green tone, because green If something's gone too green, you add red. If it's gone too red, you add green, because each of those colours counteract each other. So I'm going to use the Scarlet, which is what we use with the browns. Just 1 drop, 2 drops, that's all you need in a little mix like that. Give it a mix up, and as you can see, straight away, the green is completely knocked out, and we've got now a nice sort of pinky shade to the cream, which again, adding yellow oxide back into there again, would kill that out. So we've literally, in fact, it's quite a nice, hardly tell it's pink, but you can see the 4 differences there immediately. Started off, second go, more of the umber in, and then the red, which has killed the green, and vice versa. So obviously, if it's gone too red, you add the green back into it, which is going to get rid of it. So if we then added white back into there, good chunk of white, as you can see going back in, it's going to lighten it right back down again, and it'll almost go back to where we've begun. So we've added the white in there, add a drop more, good chunk of white, just lighten that back down again, and we're going to now almost go back to this original colour. Might just have a slight salmony tone to it because of the red oxide that's gone in there. So there you go, we've got another shade which is totally different to all of them from just literally adding more white into it. So if you added even more white in there, you would almost find that that's going to get rid of that completely and go back to square one. Give it a good stir. You're not far off. Slight difference in shade, but you're not far off. You've almost got like a sort of nice sort of healthy skin colour tone, to be fair. So the more white you add in, obviously, the lighter it gets. If you wanted to change the colour again, yellow oxide is going to give you a yellow tone to it and take you back up the cream scale once again. So a bit more yellow oxide in there. And as you can see, I'll put a dab on my hand and you can see the differences again to those 2 that I've just put on. So we're almost back to here again with just dropping a drop of the yellow oxide in there. So hopefully that sort of gives you an understanding. Obviously, if you added black in there, the black will just change the tone completely. It's going to darken it, but it might just give it a bit of a grey tone. So I've just taken those off. So, but you know, you've seen them last time around. But as you can see, it's gone nice and sort of darker now, much sort of richer, darker grey tone colour to it, as you can see, compared to what we've had. So it's showing up a bit of green. So again, you'd add a drop of red in there, which would kill out the green tone to it. Excuse me. So that shows you creams and what you can do with those and how we can change all those. We've obviously shown you browns. Now we'll go with, say, like a green colour, and then we'll also do a red for this video. So you've got like 4 colours shown there. So if we start off with white for the tops block, let me just get that unblocked for you. Just get a toothpick if the tops do block up and just push out. It's any little bits of dried paint that's maybe just fallen off. Just give it a push through with the toothpick and just do that. So get your white in the pot, nice bit of white. So then we're going to use the bright green. Had a very small drop of bright green. I'm going to show you now where we're going to go from like a very minty green right to a very, very, very dark green by using the colours and a bit of black and potentially a bit of violet as well. So there you go, you've added a drop of green in there into the white. So you've got a very almost ice green, minty green, as you can see. Put a little drop on there so you can see. Add a drop more green into it. And again, it's going to go slightly darker again. As you can see, we've got another tone of green come through there, which I'll put another bit on my hand and you'll see the difference between the 2. As you can see there, very big difference between those 2. We're just adding another 2 drops of green in there. So if we added a drop of yellow, this is going to change the colour completely now. So we'll add a little drop of yellow. You can see the yellow in there, give it a good mix in, and it's going to literally brighten that up to a very, very, very bright green with just that drop of yellow going in there. So now, if something's gone too yellow, then you need to add violet in. So you can see the differences we've gone to there with just that small quantity with very small amounts of colour. So if something's gone too yellowy coloured, you would add violet into that colour because violet knocks out yellow and yellow knocks out violet. and like it is with the green and the red and the green knock out each other. So add a small drop, 3 drops of violet in there, and it will help reduce that very bright green tone and knock that out. As you can see, that's reduced that down again quite considerably to help reduce that green tone. I'm going to put a bit beside here because that was the last green, and you're going to see the vast difference by putting the violet into that colour. Look how that's changed that completely with adding a drop of violet into it. It's literally knocking out the green tone. So if you add more violet in, 1, 2, 3 more drops, give it a good stir again, and you're going to see how it's almost going to knock out the green in its entirety. You'll see a difference again because I put another drop, and you'll see how that's going to change again. So look at the differences there. It's literally knocked out the green in its entirety now. So we now got all the green knocked back out of it again. So what we could then do is again dark green again, squirt of the bright green, squirt of the bright green, which will bring all the green tone back into it once again. So you've got the green tone back into it again. Look, so again we've got a different tone. A drop more of the bright green. Give it a good stir up. And you're going to see a massive difference now here. So you've got a huge difference there now compared to where we were here. We've got rid of the green and I've now entered the green back into it. So if we had a drop of black into that, 2 drops went in there, and you're going to see how it's going to change that quite considerably. So it's changed it again. Let's add a couple of more drops into it. You'll now start to see it changing the green quite considerably. I'll put another drop on my hand so you can see the difference there. We've had about 6 drops of black gone in there. And you can see now how it's gone right the way through the cycle from here, right the way through here. Now, if we want to get it back to this again, all we're going to do is add a good quantity of white. So you'd put quite a lot of white back in there. And hopefully we'll go back quite near where we've begun. So as you can see, we've gone very, very, very light again. So we've got, we've gone very, very light again. We've gone almost back round the circle. So you keep adding the white into it, and you are literally going to go right back to where we've begun again. So we're very light. So we're not far off from here. We're somewhere sort of just a bit darker than this one at the moment. So the more white you add into it, obviously the lighter that's going to be, and you're going to take it back here. So you just follow that cycle again to get back to here again by just going through that process. So on that particular colour, we're going to be started off with the white, with the green. We added the bright green into it, and then we've added a drop of yellow in, and we've used the black and the violet as well when it got a bit too green. And we've just literally gone full cycle and just gone back to the white again with those. So I mean, you just got to follow a process and just look at what you're doing. And it's like when you get a formula for one of the colour card formulas, whatever colours we tell you that those are the colours that's going to lighten it and darken that particular colour. So what I'll do now is I'll show you reds. The reason why I've shown you cream, and the reason why I've shown you brown, and the reason why I've shown you green, and I'm going to show you red, they're 4 of the most difficult colours that you could probably get out there to go mixing. So I'm going to show you reds now. A lot of BMW colours and things, they're not quite, we have a scarlet and then we have a bright red. So we'll start off with the red. As you can see, it's quite a bright colour. So starting off with it, I'll put a little drop of that on my hand so you can see what that comes out like right from the beginning without any colour in it. So it's quite a bright red. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some magenta to that. The magenta's quite thick, so squeeze in the magenta, give it a good stir up, and you're going to see how much of a difference this has made already to the colour. Give it a real good stir, and you're going to see automatically, you can see exactly how much darker that is from there to there, how much darker that is. We're just putting in a drop of the magenta. So if you wanted to go even darker again, almost like ox blood, then add a drop of black to it. 3 drops of black's gone in there. Might not quite be enough, but I'll show you the difference anyway. So you don't want to add too much black, because as you'll remember at the beginning, we use red and black to make a brown. So you've got to be careful you don't go to the brown shade, which is what you, obviously you start with reds, and reds go right through to the brown tone on the spectrum. So again, you can see the difference. It's gone very, very deep blood red, as you can see. So we've got just literally using they're using the scarlet with a drop of the magenta and a drop of black gone in it. That's the difference in colour that we've made there straight away. Now, if you wanted to lighten that red again, if you'd gone too red with it, just use the scarlet and it will lighten it. So add more scarlet back into the mix, and you'll see we'll bring that back down again. Now you can add an orange in there to give it like a fiery tone if you wanted, which I'll do in a second. So again, you can see there's a difference in colour there. I can just about see the difference on my hand. It's not that easy to pick it up, but you can see that difference. So add more red into it, and you'll see that it'll lighten it down again. That's lightened it down significantly. If you follow the guide that's in the training manual, you'll understand what I'm telling you now, and you'll see all that in the training manual. And there's like pages in there that you can do and complete, and I'll do a little demo of those in a moment. So obviously, as you can see, we've gone almost a full circle again with that. So now if you wanted to add orange in there, you're going to make it very fiery. So add some orange in there. It'll help lighten it as well, and also give it like a fiery, very bright, almost like flame tone to it. Quite a bright, powerful red, which is nothing like what you see here already, which you can see it's very, it's very, very bright, sort of quite a bright, powerful red. It's nothing like this one, it's nothing like this or any of these, and it's quite a bright sort of flame red. So the more orange you obviously add in there, it's going to help lighten it, but the more fiery that's going to make that, which I'll show you now, and you'll see how much of a difference that it's made again. As you can see, it's quite a very fiery colour. So that's obviously reds. Now, if you wanted to make that darker, again, you'd obviously use your black to go in there. If you added yellow in it, it's going to tone it down. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some colour cards. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you a quick thing. Obviously, we have oranges. Now, if you run out of orange and you're out on the field, bright yellow, drop a bright yellow, drop a scarlet red, put the two together. And as you can see, you've got a rather nice orange. Slightly darker one than what you've got there. So all you would need to simply do is to add, as you can see, you've got a nice orange there. So all you would need to do is add more yellow into the mix, put a load more yellow in there, and you'll see that it'll lighten that down and almost bring it to our orange that you've got. So there you go, you've got a really nice orange. Now, when you're mixing greys, what you might find is when you're mixing greys, don't just go and mix black and white. They're again very different. Black is made with an underlying blue tone. So when you're making a grey, you might find that it's got a bit of a blue tone to it. So what you need to do is to obviously look on your colour wheel, which is what we have when you come on a training course and you have a training kit. So you obviously got your colour wheel here, and obviously opposite blue is orange. So what you'd need to maybe do, if it's gone blue, you would either need to add a yellow orange, which is basically yellow oxide, or you add a drop of orange into the mix to kill that blue tone, because that is how blacks are made, is with an underlying blue tone. So while we're on the colour wheel, I'll just give you a quick brief of how this works. You've got green here, red here. Whatever is opposite on the colour wheel, they counteract each other. So if a colour's gone too green, add red into it, because that will knock out the green. If it's gone too red, add green. If it's gone too green, add red. The next one is obviously blue. If something's gone too blue, you would add orange. If it's gone too orange, add blue. Like we said before with the colours, if something's gone too yellow, add violet. If it's gone too violet, add yellow. Then in the middle, you've got a yellow-orange, which is basically a 50-50 mix between yellow and orange. So you're creating like an oxide yellow colour like this. So then you've got a reddy orange, which is basically an orange and red mixed together. But then you've got on the scale, you've got your three primary colours, red, yellow and blue. And then you've got your secondaries. You've got a white and a black, which is to lighten, and black is to darken. So you can move that anywhere you want on the scale. So if you've got a yellow-orange, which is a yellow and an orange mixed together, 50-50, put red over the yellow-orange and you can see it's changing the shade of that. If you've got a green, a yellow-green, which is basically 50% green, 50% yellow. Move the blue over it, and you're creating the green tone. Obviously, bluey green, put the black over it, and you're creating a darker green. If you put black over blue, you're creating a very, very dark blue. Over the violet, you're going very purple. And that is literally how this works. You just move it to where you need it to be positioned. So if you put it with the red, with the blue, you're creating a very bright sort of almost pinky purple colour. So that's obviously how it works. And then you'd use white to lighten that, black to darken that particular mixture. And on the violet with the red, you've got a very pink colour. So you may think, you know what, red and white makes pink. How about trying it, violet and red? As you can see, you've got a very sort of bright, sort of piercing dark pink there. Surprising, isn't it? Just use the wheel, a very clever little device to be fair. All these you can get on our training courses. So, like I was saying, I was going to take you to the colour cards. I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration as to how these work. So on here, you've got a mix, a 25 gram mix. This is where the scales come in, this little gadget here. You would mix 25 grams. So with this particular one, this is salmon, this is shade, what we call shade 1. These are no particular shade, they're just what we do as a demonstration when we're training people, because the next one down is called shade 2. So with this one, this is the colours we've used: white, magenta, bright red, yellow oxide and orange. So in this particular mix, to get this shade of salmon, we've used 15.30 grams of white, we've used 2.3 grams of magenta, we've used the bright red, 4.20 grams, yellow oxide, 1.20 grams, and then the orange, 2 grams, which is your 25 grams, given it a good stir up, and this is the tone that it's created. Now you can create these with many different colours. We have varying colours in the book which you can look at. These obviously all come in your training manual, which is all part of your training online training course. This is reds, and this is showing you the reds, which if you go back to what I was showing you earlier, you've got magenta, scarlet and white, which is basically what I was showing you with your red tones anyway. Then again, here's a different tone, like I was saying, the fiery red. You've got an orange, magenta and bright red. So again, you've got two different reds there, again, making up the 25 gram mix. Then obviously you've got some purple colours. You've got a very purple and then a light purple. And this just goes through the whole process. You've got ivories there. You've obviously got greys there. So on this grey one, you've got a very dark grey. So it's like a charcoal. You've got black, white and yellow oxide. Again, a lot of people wouldn't have thought that the yellow oxide went in. But if you go back to what I was telling you, which is like an orange, so you've got like the yellow orange, because orange obviously knocks out blue, because black has an underlying blue tone. So on this particular mix, we used the yellow oxide, which contains orange, because it's a 50% mix of yellow and orange. So it knocked out the blue tone beautifully and made that colour. So then you've got obviously greens. So you've got your different greens here, light green to dark green. And this is just somewhere in the spectrum of colours. Then obviously we've got creams. Then we've obviously got browns. And then we've got blues. And then we've got the beige. Now, in the colour mixing section of the manual, it is, I would say, the largest part. These are different 25 gram formulas, and 50 gram, 100 gram, 200 gram, and 500 gram. Just because this says shade 1, if it says shade 1 on that other sheet that I've just shown you, that doesn't mean that that's the same shade. We've just picked random shades off this sheet of 5 and used them. So this gives you a mix to help colour mixing easy, so that you can get the correct quantity to do a job, from a 25 gram to a 500 gram, half a litre mix for you. So obviously the colour mixing section is quite a big section. As you can see, it's the biggest section of the book. It's quite big. So on here, we give a description about colours. We then give a description about shades, primary colours, what the shade tone, you know, the tone, the shade and everything else on here. So you've got all that down. It then gives you details of creams, ivories, medium browns, reds, tans, beige, blue, dark browns. And this gives you a little bit of help about how to mix them properly. Going right the way through, tells you what the tone is, tells you what black and white does, and how to adjust the sheen level. Then we've got these charts. Right, so on this one, if you use the green, 100%, add 100% white, obviously you're going to knock everything out. So if you added 5% green with 95% white, you're going to obtain that shade. If you added 5% green with 95% black, so we've got black on this side here, look, you're going to get this shade. So then if we go right down the bottom, if you added, if you added green, 75% and 25% white, you're going to get that shade. And then over to the black column, if you added green, 75% and 25% black, you're going to get that tone, which again, each one is different. Now these sheets vary as we go through. So we've got a blue one to show you, this is showing you the blue spectrums using a white as a base or a black as a base, and they all work in the same principle. Blue column, 5%, 95%, you get that tone. So those go through different colours. You've got starting with a red and a white and a black, yellow, white and a black. And it's showing you what the white and blacks can do in with a yellow, which is the purpose of these charts. Then you get slightly more of a complex system. So you've got the green, the white and the black. So obviously the white and the black mixed together with the white and the black mixed together, it gives you a pure grey, which is what we got here, which is 50% white, 50% black, gets you this tone. So if you added 50% green and 50% white, you're going to get that tone. If you're going to do it with the black, 50% of each, you get that tone. If you do the green, the black and the white, you're going to get 33% of each, you're going to get that tone. So this sort of shows you how it's all going to work. Then obviously we have a blue one, then we have the red one, and it shows you how to make your pinks and your salmons and so on and so forth. Then we have a yellow one with white and black and the grey tone, and it's showing you how to make your shades there. Then we go on a more complex system with a two-tier system with a red and a blue. And then obviously if you add 50% blue and 50% red, you're going to get this sort of magenta colour. And again, that just goes through the process. So we'll step up to this one here with this 3 blue, 62.5%, 12.5% red, and then obviously you've got your 25% of black. So that's going to get you that sort of shade colour by using the black column, white column, and then the grey column. So obviously in the grey column here, which is a pure grey, 50% of each colour, like we said before, you've got blue, red, black and white. That is going to get you that shade of the purple, sort of pinky purple colour. Then the colours, this is obviously a blue and yellow one. Then we have a green and a blue one. Then we have a green and a yellow one, and you can see all the shades that it's creating, and each one is exactly the same principle. Then they get a little bit more complex. So we go into this particular one here. So you've got 3 colours here, yellow, black and the red. Obviously creating a brown shade. You're mixing all those colours together, and again using the black, the yellow or the red here. And if you follow the lines down, it's telling you what you can create from those. And you just again white and yellow and red and follow the lines up, and it just follow the diagrams. Tan beige is what you want to create. So you want brown, white and orange, which orange is obviously 50% red and 50% yellow, which again you'll find here tells you how to do that, which we showed you anyway. So you just follow the lines, which is the whole purpose of these lines. You just follow them where they need to go, and it'll tell you what colour you're creating. And then again, you've got a slightly different one there, just slightly more complex, creating more shades in here than what the last one did. Then we've got this particular one, which is what we were talking to you about. You've got your red, which counteracts your green, and your green counteracts your red. We've got blue and orange. They knock out each other. If one goes to blue, you add orange. If it goes to orange, you add blue. And then obviously you've got your yellow and your violet. 2 yellow, add violet. 2 violet, add yellow. This is a good colour mixing system. So when you're making a colour and you're out on the road, we write down the formulas in here. So we'll write down the quantity of weight or mil that we've used, what paint we've used, and what the make and model was. So you keep that as your forever, lifelong reference, almost like a paper version of a Spectro, to be fair, but a much more reliable system. Then we're obviously back into these, and then we're back into these again. So that, I hope, gives you a nice sort of good understanding of colour mixing. There are obviously much more greater in-depth details available by coming on a training course, but we know you guys are doing a distance learning course, but we just hope that that helps you with some of the colours that we've gone through today. As I say, you can get these, and we have all the formulas for these. Just email us at info@leatherrepaircompany.com and go on the website, and you can buy one of these. As you can see, there are literally thousands of colours here. So this just speeds things up. You test these up against a piece of leather, to see what the shade was like, to get one that's closest to you. And you might find there's 2 or 3 of them that's closest, and you would pick that particular shade. And you then say to us, I want, H016, and we'd give you the colour formula for that particular colour. So that is the colour mixing video. We hope you found it useful and informative, and it helps you to understand the colours. Don't forget, we do the colour wheels, a great little tool. Never leave home without them. Thank you very much.